journey of over 20 years in India, the Honda City has become nothing less of iconic. Just think about it. This is the default C-segment sedan. In the past 20 years or so, so many cars have come and disappeared. For instance, think about the Ford Fiesta, the Chevrolet Aveo, and the original Maruti Baleno sedan. Also the Maruti SX4. You hardly remember any of those, but the Honda City is now in its 5th generation. But things are not particularly easy for this car, because we have officially entered the era of SUVs. So, in a time where SUVs are all the hype, is a sedan like this even relevant? Well, it's time to find out. You might have already noticed that this car is not on stock tires. That is because the stock tires are narrow and lack grip. A tire upgrade is quite essential on a Honda City for the sake of better looks and handling. Aesthetically, the 5th generation City is a very nice car to look at. It has got just the right amount of aggressive elements, and all the flashy elements like those turning headlamps and those LED tail lamps have been carefully selected. So overall, it gives a pretty neat look to the car without looking flashy or without going overboard. If you look at the rear of this car, it's quite evident that Honda loves the BMW 3 Series. Not that I'm complaining, but a bit more originality would have been really appreciated. The design of the dashboard is quite minimalist. However, I do personally feel vertical air vents do look quite outdated. But some people love it, so I might be in the minority. What is not subjective, however, is the cabin quality. It is quite good in isolation, but for a car that costs well over Rs 16 lakh on road, there could have been a lot more soft touch elements on the dashboard. All you get here is this padding. The top half as well as the middle half of the cabin is full of hard touch plastics, which is not very premium. The infotainment system on this car includes an 8-inch touchscreen. The interface here is quite basic, but it's pretty good, quite readable. However, the sunlight legibility of the display is very poor, and that is quite frustrating when you're driving on a hot sunny day. You also get a lane assist camera that's extremely useful on our roads. The car also comes with connected car tech, but the companion app is quite slow. The instrument cluster is part analog and part digital. The digital half is customizable, but most of them are just gimmicks because the useful ones like lane assist camera and navigation cannot be displayed here. One major drawback of this instrument cluster is the positioning of the fuel gauge. You actually have to bend forward in order to have a glance at it, otherwise it's not visible. Rear seat is where this thing really shines. This seat is pushed all the way back. I'm 5 feet 10 inches tall and I've still got pretty decent knee room. If we move there, now, this seat is as per my driving position, and just look at the amount of space I have here. So, the legroom is amazing. However, the headroom can be limited. So, if you're over 6 foot tall, it might be a bit of an issue for you. Overall, the seats are quite comfortable. This rear bench has really good under thigh support. So, the rear seat is a really nice place to be in. The boot of this car is quite spacious at 506 liters. But the biggest problem is that the rear seats do not fold. And I think that's a massive missed opportunity for Honda. Since people are already biased towards more practical SUVs, adding folding rear seats would have gone a long way for Honda here. The 1.5 litre petrol engine on this car might sound familiar, but it is an all-new unit. It does retain the signature refinement levels of its predecessor, which makes it a very quiet and a very smooth motor. This engine redlines at around 7000 RPM, and it also has a G meter. Now that's totally unnecessary for a 120 bhp car, but if you want to have some fun, you can totally have it like this. At high revs, it sounds really good. But this rev-happy nature also has a flip side, which is the mid-range here is quite flat. So, you'd find yourself downshifting more than you'd like, especially on elevated roads. The City will easily do 0 to 100 km per hour in under 11 seconds given ideal conditions. But it is worth noting that the turbo petrol engines you find on its rivals will give you more usable power in the mid-range. The 6-speed gearbox here is a joy to use, and the short throw clutch adds to the fun driving experience. So on highways, you can actually get around 17 kilometers per liter from this car, which is quite impressive for a C-segment petrol sedan. However, realistically, you should expect around 12 kilometers per liter overall when taken into consideration both city and highway drives. The 5th generation Honda City really excels in terms of ride quality. It can take on bad roads really well, and road imperfections are filtered out quite nicely. You surely can hear a thud when you go over extremely sharp speed breakers, but otherwise, potholes are taken care of quite nicely. For those who like to throw it around corners, the City is a pretty confident handler with a nicely weighted steering. Despite its soft suspension, the body roll here is quite well controlled. The upgraded tires on this car did help with the grip as well. It is not a sports sedan by any means, but it is still quite refreshingly fun in this age of top-heavy crossovers. The noise insulation inside the cabin at high speeds is not very impressive, as both the road noise as well as the wind noise seep in way more than I would have liked. So this is the Honda City. It may not be the default family car anymore because that role has been taken over by the crossovers. However, if you like to drive or you're chauffeured around a lot and the rear seat comfort means a lot to you, then it still makes a very strong case for itself. Then Honda Cities are known to be extremely reliable and very easy to maintain. Now, you cannot put a price on that.